nation, and this day it's an exciting day because it's full in-house. I'm joined by someone who's always behind the screen. Today gets to be in front of the screen, and of course our very own Ojwang Mariam. Let me begin with the gentlemen introducing themselves. Acha tuanze na mgeni katika show yetu. Tuanze na Kanyeki.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Mimi ni Kanyeki Kefwe, a political analyst in my own right, and a camera operator.
Karibu sana on the show, Ojwang.
Nashukuru sana that we're having more eyes, camera operators wanatokea the other side to ensure that we're giving the state of the nation na vile iko. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am still Ojwang mtoto wa Mariam. I am a communications expert, community leader, marketing guru, peace, inclusivity, sustainability, and PWD advocate. I am glad to be on the set today.
Karibuni sana. Let's begin with the Bold newspaper. Should we? I wanted to begin, before we get into the newspaper, there's a campaign that has been ongoing in the country of Tuko Kadi, Niko Kadi, and the leaders of the campaign have warned politicians of getting into the campaign. And something interesting that I heard about the campaign is that Rikomondi is now mobilizing artists to come forward and come up with a concert, and this concert entry itakuwa kadi. What do you think about this movement? Do you think it's sustainable? Ama ni mioto ya they call it political what? Where a leader comes out known and is the talk of town, and then this talk or this applause does not materialize to votes. Do you think that this is the same case that you're going to be witnessing with the Tuko Kadi campaign? Let me begin with you, John.
Yeah, I think so. And what I champion for mostly is what we call sustainability. And sustainability only comes when we are inclusive. Inclusive means that Tuko Kadi is for the people of Kenya, not for the select few. You know, tunakuwaga na katabia Kenya, kama huyu anaimba Ruto ni enemy, atawahi kuwa ati Tuko Kadi yake itakuwa legit ile siku yenye atatusi Ruto ama atateswa na Ruto ndo to feel hey, uni kama ameingia kwa ligi yetu. But it should be a collective clarion call, an inclusive clarion call, so that we are calling people on board. And that's why you'll hear even the president himself say, hata mimi mjue niko kadi, because everyone ako kadi. When we are having or forming IEBC, it is not an IEBC for the government or for the opposition. That is why Kenyans are saying that they did not care who is becoming the chair for IEBC, bora tuko na IEBC. That hata wakitaka kutoa mtu state house wamweke IEBC, bora tuko na IEBC in a function. As it comes to function, wanasukuma nani apate kadi? It is for everyone who has an ID card. That is why the youth should take advantage of that. Be proud when mnasikia wazee wakisema wako kadi pia, because it is our time. Hao wazee wanatusaidia pia, wao washaanza kuona hey, enyewe the future is in our kids, because our kids are looking out for their own future. Naongelea kama kijana, we are looking out for our own future, the future of our parents, juu wale grandparents maybe hatuwezi kuwa na connection sana, the future of our siblings who are now kama mimi millennial are the Gen Zs, and the future of our children, the generation Alpha. Hao wenye wako hapo wazee washaanza kuona that this youth ni ukweli wako na kitu wanafikiria. What do we do to support them? Sote tukue kadi. It should be an inclusive clarion call. Wacha kila mtu akuwe kadi. Ukiona pia Kasongo wako kadi, kusema asante juu kila mtu anakuwa kadi. It is bringing, kitambo tulikuwa tunaimba vijana wachukui kura. Saizi tunalia hey, ni kama kila mtu anataka kukuwa kadi. It is time, and I'm so happy that vitu kama hizi zinaendelea. Kama wewe ni msanii, collective clarion call ni kuambia kila mtu achukue kadi in whatever profession you are in. Haifai kuwa wasanii pekee, hata watu wa media, watu kama Larry Madowo akiwa huko nini nje majuu, asha post yake anasema ako kadi na kadi yake ni ya Nairobi pale hivyo Moi Avenue Primary School. Mwenzako ukimwona amuuliza, "Je, uko kadi?" Sisi kama vijana tukikatiana, uliza mwenzako, "Je, uko kadi?" Kama yuko kadi anatuangusha guys.
All right, now you've mentioned something that is interesting. One of the leaders or some of the leaders of this Niko Kadi initiatives I don't know if they're really leaders, they call themselves leaders of the Niko Kadi initiative. One of them said in an interview that Ruto should not be confused that Niko Kadi is equivalent to one term. What do you think about that?
No, he is not confused. We have said that kila mtu ako kadi. And that is why they are saying could be yake ni joker. Simulimwambia yake ni red card. Ako kadi pia. As sisi tunampangia, ni kupanga tunapanga kubadilisha nchi. Ndo nchi ichukue mwendo na mwelekeo unaofaa. But as it is, he is still the head. Yeye bado ndo kesho tukiamka tuangalie huku tuseme watu wamekuwa abducted. Nani ana abduct? Bado ni yeye. Kuna mabilioni yamepotea. Nani ako pale behind? Bado ni yeye. Kuna hospitali fulani imeishia. Nani ameenda nayo? Bado ni yeye, because he is still in charge. Na ako kadi kwa nini? If we are playing the joker cards hapa, poker cards, alafu Rex aseme yeye ako kadi, hata mimi naweza kuwa kadi na wewe uko kadi. And then by the time game inafika pale hivyo kwa Wahu anaachilia tu, Ruto anashika ile joker yake, anatuachilia, anaweza shinda bado. But sasa sisi ndio tunacheza right. Juu kama ni kadi, nani ameicheza sana? Ni wazee ama ni vijana?
All right, now Rex, do you think this Niko Kadi initiative is sustainable?
Well, the sustainability, the Niko Kadi movement is really dependent upon the youth when you want to run the movement. You see, the whole point of the movement is attaining a mass of about 15 million votes from the new generation. That is 15 million new voters. So, as it is, I think 15 million is a huge number. So wakitokea wote, it's definitely a sustainable movement. But venye Ojuang anasema, kukua kadi basically ni kukua na kura. Whether uko one term, uko two term, uko team Linda Mwananchi, team Kalonzo, team Wajakoya, whatever, as long as you have a card, a voter's card, wewe uko kadi. So I think it's really about to make sure that the new generation ama the youth wote wenye wako over 18, maybe in the last 5 years, wenye wako 18 in the last 5 years, so between 2022 and now, we have millions of youth that have turned 18 above. How sasa ndio tuna target wachukue kura, and that is the Niko Kadi movement. So I basically think
this will translate to votes, to voting.
If anyone is going to make a point ya kutoka mahali ametoka kwake ama kazi to go to a polling station and get a voter's card, then they should make a point to go and vote. Let me just say something Sifuna said. If you have ever uttered words, these 3 words in your life, Ruto must go, then you must be there to go him. If you're not there to go him, then wewe kura yako ni bure tu. Who will go him?
Like Kibaki said, wewe ni mtu
bure kabisa, mafia.
All right, now let's get into the dailies. I would wish to combine topics here because most of them are really relating. To begin with the story of Tuju, the Standard are saying day of drama. The Daily Nation are saying Tuju was deepened after coming out of hiding, and both of them are talking of this story which the government says is self-abduction, and he should be charged. And of course, Murkomen also mentioned that courts should ensure that they give the most extreme measures. Taifa leo wanasema ati wapewe hukumu kali, but I think Swahili is a very poor language. Swahili wasinikujie because he said the most extreme punishment possible for such matters. And this issue of self-abduction, we've also seen it with Koimburi. I don't know if there are others which are there, others before. But my question will be, not on the issue of self-abduction. We are not sure if he self-abducted himself and he was in the house like the DCI say, or should we go with his story that he was held or he was in at a house in Kiambu with a family who hosted him. So regardless of the stories that are given, I want you to give me your opinions. Let me begin with you, Juang, about why get to this point. You know, why get to this point that it's getting ugly? And on the Standard, we are seeing pictures of him really crying in agony about him being injured. And just like this, the paper is saying it was a day of drama. And the estimates were given that what the bank needs from him is a tiny thing compared to the value of the property that they want to auction. So why get to this point? Why get to this form of intimidation for lack of a better word. Why get to this point as a nation?
When a hyena wants to eat her children, she always first complains that they're smelling like sheep. Now, to a human being, a sheep could be something foolish, but to a hyena, a sheep is food. So when the children are smelling like food, they will be eaten. One day, the current governor for Siaya, Bob James Ogre-Orengo, said that this country eats his children, or this country eats her children. We never internalize those words until those words hit close home. We are in a country where today we talk of rumors, someone has been abducted. Tomorrow, we find their bodies somewhere in Kware Juja, or in Kericho, or in Yala in 2017. That same country is eating by taking by force. Currently, Raphael Tuju's property that is in Karen that he is seeking to reclaim is 6.8 acres. And the person who wants it so bad that he's willing to do everything. And in that country where once we talk in rumors, you are there, you are not there, you are abducted, you are not abducted, you surface while you are in a body bag, you have to take more measures like your security. He's talking about how he had to ditch his car in Karen. I think I would do the same. If I would note that someone is trailing me, when I slow down, they slow down. When I overtake, they try to overtake. When I speed up, they want to do the same. Seek for safety. But us as a country, we are not wrong, and we cannot be wronged for thinking that he has been abducted, because we know it's a script that always goes on in this country. It is the same country that people come to seek for refuge, like Kiza Besigye, knowing very well that Kenya is a diplomatic country where their security is guaranteed in the right to life in the Kenyan constitution and the human statutory laws, but still get abducted and delivered to their country where they are being tortured up to date. You have to take safety measures. Sisi kama wa Kenya, ni jukumu letu basi kukuwa our brother's keeper. Do not keep quiet when you hear that your neighbor is missing. Raise alarm so that when you are not able to help, others will help. We've seen friends come together. In this photo, you can see JB Muturi, you can see Wamalwa, you can see Kalonzo. When friends are there, then unity will be there, and unity is power. Tunafaa tutoke kwa hiyo era kabisa ya tunaishi na uoga to a point that we have to kujificha. But tuko kadi.
All right, Kenyaki, what do you make of this?
I think Raphael Tuju is a man that is completely under siege. Raphael Tuju is a man that very powerful forces are going for him because of his property that has been auctioned. So when I see a man like Raphael Tuju saying that he decided to ditch his car and his phone because people are following him, and he was quote unquote escaping or running away from abduction in a country like Kenya where abductions are the order of the day, I personally am going to believe him. Because like Ojuanga said, if I am driving my car and I notice someone following me, if I turn left, they turn left, I turn right, they turn right, and I know I am a man like Raphael Tuju who has cases like that, and I know powerful people are after me, I am going to make sure that I evade. So with Raphael Tuju, I think that he made the right call. I mean, that is why we can see him today complaining and being harassed. At least we can see him. There he is. And he surfaced after. But when I see pictures like this one on the Standard where he's being carried like a gunia of potatoes in Kurushwa Kwagari, look at him with a shirt all unbuttoned, all indecent and all that kind of stuff. It's really not good, seeing as how Raphael Tuju is a man that has served this country in some of the highest offices. Yes, Raphael Tuju has been CS in this country, has sat in the cabinet in this country, and I think that kind of service should be accorded decorum, a degree of decorum when it comes to matters like this. When you come to arrest someone that has served the country in that kind of capacity, I don't think we should be in a position to witness scenes like we are seeing on the front page today. So I think that Raphael Tuju has a right to disappear himself if he does not feel safe, and I also feel that he has a right to resurface and claim what he is claiming now. I also feel as though, like Ojwanga said, when a hyena wants to feast on their kids, they start to say their kids are smelling like sheep. So I feel like this is just a way of government persecuting its critics based off of what Raphael Tuju has been saying and what Raphael Tuju has been in the previous governments. So the case of Raphael Tuju is just, again, one of many indications that wote tunafaa tukue kadi so that we can make a proper decision in the upcoming elections. Yes.
You know, the government argues that this is just a way of gaining pity, and also to consider that politicians, not all politicians, so John, I know you're a politician, but also not to forget mentioning that politicians sometimes just want to be at the limelight, regardless of whether it's positive or negative criticism. Just being the talk of town is something that every politician dreads. So we may not be able to fully understand or fully acknowledge if indeed he ran away because he was being followed, or he self-abducted himself for self-pity, as the government
we
said.
can really understand if we want. We can really understand. It was in this country that we saw a very senior officer in IEBC, Msando, who really knew his way around information and all that. Followed, later he surfaces dead. It is still in this country that we've seen billionaires and former politicians, bigwigs, like Cyrus
Jimmy
Jirongo, who was hit in an accident that the driver says it was a bus carrying people, but we don't have any other person who is giving the same testimony, and we don't have them. Today, I think I am glad that we are talking of him being harassed after resurfacing rather than being dead. We can understand those things. We just have to ask ourselves, what if it was myself? Wewe ungedu?
The other thing I think about Raphael Tuju, you see, Raphael Tuju has been a politician for a long time, but for now, I don't think he's an active politician. Now, you see, when we talk about sympathy, I'm in a position to ask myself, what does Raphael Tuju gain from sympathy? You see, Raphael Tuju is not up for elections. He's not asking for voters to get him into a specific, seat. And when it comes to the law about his property, sympathy or no sympathy, the courts, that does not affect that. It does not affect your court in case whether people wanakusikilia huruma. So when it comes to sympathy, I think that is non-consequential when it comes to Raphael Tuju's case. So that puts me in a situation where I just have to be in a position that I'm inclined to believe Raphael Tuju more than government.
All right. And believing government is really hard.
It's hard.
Considering this story on the Daily Nation, where they're talking of the Kericho mass grave, the plot thickens. And this is the inconsistency of the numbers given, the legal doubt, secrecy, and grave suspicion. The questions being asked among them is how many bodies were buried? Is it 12, 13, 14? Why the conflicting figures? Are the court orders permitting the burials genuine? DCI says this is not clear yet. Why were Kericho County officials and managers of the cemetery kept in the dark? Do the mutilated remains and inconsistencies point to something more sinister? Let's respond to that question. Do the mutilated remains and inconsistencies point to something more sinister? Ojwang.
First of all, I'm very proud of Kenyans and the level of awakening they are having, because it is someone who discovered these mass murders. It is someone who decided not to keep quiet. It is someone who decided to bring this story to the limelight. And I am sure they were first questioned on the basis of they don't know what they are talking about, because that is what happens in this country. We are having two government bodies involved, two arms to be specific. The executive, where the DCI and the police and everything about security falls in, and the judiciary, where the courts falls in. One, the judiciary received plea or petition for a certain hospital, this is Nyamira Referral County Hospital, to go and bury bodies that we don't know the exact number. And among these bodies are mutilated bodies. We need to also see the explanation that they gave, because sometimes you can have mass burials if bodies have not been claimed. But why are we having bodies that have been mutilated? Why are we not having the same thing being communicated to us via gazette notice? Because some questions have to be asked if we are seeking justice. I am sure that the person who raised this issue found these inconsistencies themselves, because we've had cases where people have been in mass burials, like when MP for Emrua Dikir died alongside others, they were buried together. In the cases where we had fire tragedies like in the Changwan, we saw people being buried together. But there is a reason and a cause why they are being buried together. We need as Kenyans to continue pushing to have these answers. The problem is that we are asking same government, two different departments, and they want to give us conflicting information now, days in, days out, so that we can get more confused. But the plot continues to thicken. It lies upon us as Kenyans to seek for accountability from the government, whether it is the judiciary who gave orders for these bodies to be mutilated, whether it is the hospital who don't really know the number of bodies that they were burying, or the DCI who have been charged with the mandate to investigate these matters.
Mm-hmm. And any country, for its citizens to believe the government, it's really hard. The other day when we were having... Please, Madam Samia, I am just reporting on what was reported. Several bodies claimed to be on the streets in Tanzania. Then when they woke up, the streets were clean. Yeah. The same thing when we witnessed during the Gen Z protest. Everyone claimed that there was Githurai massacre and all that. But then when we woke up, everything was clean. And then you are wondering, where do these bodies go? Where do these bodies go? It makes it hard to trust the government. I'm not saying that is what happened, but I'm just saying this is what makes it hard to trust the government. From where you sit, Kanyeki, what do you make of this headline, the plot thickens?
I think the plot does in fact thicken, because we've seen human rights groups saying that that is just one of many. Mm-hmm. One of many mass graves that are around the country. And I'm going to say that on the question whether something sinister is going on, I think something sinister is in fact going on, because first it was supposed to be 14 bodies, yes? Yesterday's paper said 14 bodies, but today the plot has in fact taken, because we see that it's 12 bodies and remains. You see, mm-hmm. when we talk about remains, it means that these are remains that cannot be put together and form an entire body. Mm-hmm. Right, so that means maybe someone's 2 legs and 1 hand was in this batch, and in another mass grave, which I don't say exists, but you know, human rights groups do say so. In another mass grave, you're going to find the rest of them. Mm-hmm. So, if I take you back to 2024, when we had the Gen Z protests, it was clear there was killings, many killings, but a lot of people that cannot be accounted for to date. And accounted for means that their bodies cannot be found, and they personally cannot be found. So when we get to see mass graves like this, where we have bodies and mutilated bodies, to be very specific, that means these are people that were tortured for information. And after they were tortured for information, they were killed. And after they were killed, they were disposed of in a way that their families or any other person was not in a position to know. Mm-hmm. So I think that one way or another, the government is responsible for this, because it turns out that these bodies were actually delivered to that mass grave in a government vehicle. That is yesterday's paper. In a government vehicle. It was a government vehicle that delivered these bodies to that mass grave. That is the account of one of the people that was used to, dig the grave and fill it up after the bodies were thrown in. So they were delivered there in a government vehicle. That requires explanation as to why it was a government vehicle that was used to dispose of these bodies, and where the government vehicle got these bodies from. Mm-hmm. So I think that when we talk about whether it's sinister or not, I think the government has a lot of explaining to do, and it just brings us back around to the point that watu wachukue kura jameni, tukue wote kadi, because we need a government yenye tunaweza tukatetea proudly, but this one is really out of touch.
So kuna said government, kutetea government si kazi yetu. kuna watu wanalipwa kutetea serikali. Anyway, as we bring this to an end, because my director is telling me time is not really on our side, I want us to talk of these stories on the Daily Nation, and of course this touches our money as our final remarks. Itauma wengi. Kindiki's office want 450 million extra for hospitality choppers. The office of the Deputy President has requested MPs to approve an additional 450 million for hospitality and hiring helicopters until the end of the financial year of June 30th, according to budget documents before Parliament. Let me begin with you. Kanyeki, what do you make of this?
I make that this government is greedy, this government is wasteful, and this government is extravagant. We cannot have the State House. We start with the State House. Just the other day we had an issue with the State House just wanting more than 8 billion in extra in extra funding, because they say that the 8 billion there was not enough. And then just barely a few weeks after, we have Kindiki in the office of the Deputy President asking for 450 million extra funding, and then you ask for what, and then you're told it's for hospitality and hiring choppers. Now, how many choppers does the office of the Deputy President need? Kwani ni chai ngapi hizi zenye anapika ama anapea watu na mandazi yuko za 450 million between now and the month of June? So I think this is a government that is completely extravagant, out of touch with the end. As we speak, by the way, we have a deficit in education funding. We have a deficit in the health sector. That people are hospitals are complaining that they have not been reimbursed for services rendered based off of what wenye wametumia insurance ya SHA. And then we have people like Kindiki asking for 450 million extra, and you are part of hospitality and choppers. That is really, it's really terrible in my view. And I think that again, nirudie tu watu wachukue kura because tutahitaji kubadilisha maneno hii.
Itahitajika mahali.
Yes.
Ojua Ambien sang that barabara zetu ni mbaya, lakini hawezi jua kwa sababu wanakuja wanachopa.
Wanakula hadi pesa za kujenga barabara za kuenda Singapore. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu hatupei watu nguvu enough. Education or knowledge is power, they keep saying. My people perish for lack of knowledge, they keep saying. And when we seek that knowledge, we seek knowledge maybe that is not helping us at the moment. For example, when these people are deciding which cash to steal from Kenyans, they use this constitution, and they will tell you the office of the Deputy President requires 450 million shillings more. It means that it already has a budget, but it requires more for choppers. When we are asking for choppers, they are not choppers to offer medical services to people who are languishing in floods. When you're asking for choppers, it is not to enforce or ensure access of quality education, because on the same paper, the TSC is wondering and grappling with the question of where they will be getting 30 billion to be hiring permanently 44,000 intern teachers. As one office is getting extra 400 million not to be used kwa ground nyuku hewani juni za chopa, there are interns who are tirelessly working after finishing their campus education in our schools, taking care of our kids without a dime.
Okay.
We need to have goodwill sisi kama wa Kenya wa kujiangalia the kind of leaders tunakuwa na wao na vitu ambavyo wanafanya. This same office of the DP, ni mara ya kwanza nimesikia kuhusu the second lady wa hii inchi. Before that tulikuwa tumesikia sana about Madam Rachel and the things she did. Saizi tunasikia about ofisi yake pia kukuwa na pesa mingi zaidi. Kwa nini? Sisi hatuna goodwill ya kuvet viongozi wetu.
Okay.
Tusikize from the heart, see from maskio.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Just to get a few feedback from those watching us online, we have Gilo saying that always looking forward to this show. Insightful discussion with amazing hosts. Thank you. And guests. And locked in all the way to the end. Sora says, Akokadi, je, huni ungwana au uporada? Loving it. Big was Someone says that is Francis Kazi Safi, KUTV. I love the flow of the interview. And these other questions, I think they are for the first interview that we had. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us this morning.
Thank you so much.
Those are voices of young minds in this country. And if someone told you that Gen Zs don't understand politics, you need to get to KUTV and listen to the young minds dissect what is happening in the country. This has been Biashara Tuesday. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning.